The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everybody, this is Tina with mParks. I want to thank you for joining us today. I just wanted to go over a few quick technical things before I throw it over to the panel. All attendees are on listen-only mode, so they will not be able to speak, but you will be able to communicate via the chat box and the questions box. There will be a Q&A section at the end, so please send in your questions. And this webinar will be recorded and will be shared, or should be able to get it out by tomorrow. So with that, I'm going to throw it over to Keith and he can get going.
All right, everybody. Thank you, Tina and mParks team for helping us set this up. I am Keith Kooperman and I'm the facility manager for Saline Parks and Recreation, also the chair of the New Professionals Focus Group. I just wanted to thank everybody. We have some great panelists on here today with some awesome programming ideas. We kind of came together and made this happen real quickly. We have a lot of great information to come, and this will be recorded, so we will be able to share this with anybody who misses it. And thank you again, and I will turn it over to Spencer.
Hi there. Hopefully everybody can see my screen from there. So my perspective for this is going to be a little bit different than some of the other presenters. Our department, one of the areas we lacked was some outdoor rec options, especially in the winter time. So we decided to change that up, pivot because of the pandemic, and do a lot of new things. One of the things I wanted to give a little background on is that Kentwood has 15 parks and around 410 acres of parkland right now. But through a generous donation last spring, we had an additional 108 added. But that's a great gift at the very beginning of a pandemic that just threw everything off. So our goal was to start adding some additional outdoor rec options over there. But it's been a difficult year. So I'll kind of go through what we have done in the past. Traditionally, we've done a couple of special events outside in the winter, one being a winter disc golf tournament and another being a winter 5K race. Both of those raise funds for a little free pantry that provides food for our community. But other than that, there was limited trail access. Our parks didn't officially close, but they just weren't utilized very often in the winter. And this year we decided to change that up and kind of revamp how we looked at it and really push people outside. So one of the things we first started with were themed walks. We have a couple of rail trails that run through our community, and then we have, of course, a lot of pathway within our parks. And the themed trails included a turkey trot, or turkey trail, I guess. And you can see we made that a social media engagement effort with our community. And they actually are the ones that put together these collages you see. So they had to go through and find around 12 different themed things along the trail in about a mile to a mile and a half section. So the fall one was on one of our rail trails, and then our winter one we did in one of our lesser known parks that have a lot of nice nature trails through it. It was a really great response from the community, very little cost to us, but a great way to encourage people to get out and recreate in a safe way, despite it getting a little bit colder here for the winter walk. And then we hope to do another one this spring because of the positive feedback we received about it. And then we kind of took a look at all of our programs and what we could do to take our indoor programs outside. So we do have a teaching kitchen here in our activity center, but obviously we weren't able to do that. So we decided to do some campfire cooking activities with families. And it was really a great experience. We have a lot of apartment complexes in our community, so people just don't have the opportunity to make a campfire in general. So it was a really nice added amenity that we hadn't thought about in the past. So it's definitely a positive that has come out of the pandemic, is kind of pivoting and seeing how we can utilize our outdoor spaces. Another thing we were able to do is a pop-up disc golf course. And disc golf is something that has done fairly well throughout the pandemic. And we were able to get a donation of 9 portable baskets from a local business to do this pop-up disc golf course. So kind of working with your community partners that have actually been able to turn a profit and do well, maybe through sponsorship or donation like this was a way that we expanded our offerings as well. Outdoor Explorers was a youth education program, and then we added some arts and crafts into that, some things that we would normally do inside. We've brought out and start with a walk or a nature hike, and then do some educational components with that. Walking club, typically we have a lot of seniors that walk in our gym space. That one hasn't been as well attended because it is cold and icy and snowy potentially, but it is another amenity we've offered the community for outside. Sorry, I just heard you can see that all of my other notes and things too. So let me, does this show up better for you, hopefully? Some of the other things we've offered is a survival class. We actually have the winner of the History Channel's show Alone, lives within our community. So we were able to work with him to kind of put on some survival classes outside. We're also working another local business partnership to put a snowshoe clinic on later this month. So they're going to provide all of the equipment for us to lend to our community members and be able to do that for low or no cost. And then also a luminary hike, hopefully at the end of next month, where we're going to encourage community members to decorate and provide some of the luminaries for along our trail. So those are a lot of things that kind of changed from indoor activities that we pivoted and made for outdoor. And then the things that we're still developing, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to put this together or be a part of this panel, I should say. We're hoping to do a fat tire biking trail, some snowshoe paths, cross-country skiing trails. But with this, whenever you try to implement something new, it crosses departments, it crosses budgets. And as we all know, this is a tough year to do anything new like that. So with that being said, we are working through that process to find the best equipment to use for it, find money for that, and then move forward. And then through that, questions of how do we generate revenue from these new activities? Is this something that we do? So those are still in development here for the city of Kentwood, but it's definitely something we want to pursue. So any of the attendees that have established programs in that, I'd be happy to chat with you about it. Otherwise, yeah, that's something we're looking to do this in the future as well. And then that's my contact information. Like I said, if you want to reach out about any of the things I talked about or the things that we're still developing, if you have any advice you have on that, we'd be happy to do that. We want this to be a good educational option for both the panelists and all of the attendees. So things you hear, we'd like to make it a conversation back and forth. So that's pretty much what I have to present on for the city of Kentwood and what we have done and what we're hoping to still do yet this winter for outdoor rec. The next person on our list of panelists is Kelley Moss. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to her.
Hello, everyone. All right, let me go ahead and grab my screen. Okay. All righty. Apologize. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about today is actually our scavenger hunt series, Quest for Adventure. So as Spencer mentioned, I'm Kelley Moss with Oakland County Parks and Recreation. I'm a recreation supervisor that traditionally oversees our summer day camp, some of our special events, and then a lot of our community outreach. So one of our ways that we brought our community outreach in a new way today, I apologize. Okay. Is through these scavenger hunts. So we've actually done a series of these scavenger hunts. They're self-led, and they are similar to if you're familiar with like a road rally or whatnot. And we've actually done 15 of these themed scavenger hunts through Oakland County. We've done them with 12 communities so far that we've partnered with, as well as 2 of our campgrounds and 1 like county park-wide scavenger program. So throughout this series, we've already serviced 2,600 participants, which is really awesome. They've all been completely like social distance appropriate, self-led, go on your own time, go on your own schedule. Out of the 12 communities that we've partnered with, some of them are smaller as far as small townships, some of them are extremely large cities, so we've kind of had a wide range. from that. And then some of the communities that we've partnered, we've done like joint partnerships with these scavenger hunts. So as far as the scavenger hunts, as I mentioned, they're similar to a road rally. And with that, it's like the participants would go from point A to B and drive around town, whether it be from county park to county park, city park to city park, or multiple city, and they would collect clues along the way. Each of the scavenger hunts are a themed storyline where we would kind of narrate through the scavenger hunts a story, usually something along the lines of some sort of crime or some sort of mishap, and then people would have to navigate through to find the missing puzzle pieces. All of the scavenger hunts have been free, but we do require participants to pre-register, and we do that so that way we could have a collective audience and we can see how many people that we're reaching out to, as well as having those emails and contacts to reach back out to the participants who registered. So upon registration, they would receive a first initial clue. And if you can see on my slide, this is an example of a first clue. And in the first clue, we usually include things that would be like a help email if they get lost, how long to expect for the scavenger hunt, where around the city parameters where they can expect to find hidden clues, as well as kind of a little bit of the behind the scenes of the story and kind of to get that going. And then we also would include that first clue that I mentioned. So the first clue is where they can cipher through and decide, you know, where they're going next and whatnot. We usually run them for 10 days at a time. We've done them longer or shorter, but we found that that 10-day mark is that sweet spot because we do leave up the clues. And then it's, as I mentioned, it's self-led and people can go at any pace they wish. So the 10 days has kind of been that perfect point where people can come and go. We do have staff monitor the clues each day, and so what they do is they check for vandalism, they check for weather, wear and tear, or if the clue is just completely missing, and then every day the staff would go out and replace or fix what was needed, so we're always constantly checking on them. And then we would communicate through email, and what we would do is, again, they could reach out to our support email if they were lost or stumped on a clue. And then towards the end, after they finished the whole puzzle, then they would be able to submit an answer and be entered in a prize drawing, which we would give away some themed giveaways. So next, apologies to move this. Okay. Next, you will see. Next are some of the scavenger hunt clues and puzzles that we've developed. So we usually do 10 locations, and that again is another sweet spot. It's enough time for the participants to drive around town. It usually takes about 3 to 4 hours, depending on your city and how big of a city or multiple cities that they're traveling through. And then to give them a few minutes at each location to solve the clues. We do incorporate the themes throughout the entire clues. So these are different examples from the different cities and campgrounds that we've worked with. And with them, we try to incorporate it through the banners, through like the icons and everything, so they really do feel that that it's part of the experience. And then if you look at some of the bottom corners of the example clues, those are symbols, and they're kind of like squares or little L's or triangles. And what those are is special clues and symbols that they use at the end of the hunt to cipher one last puzzle. And then they plug those in to finish and see if they completed it successfully. So here are some other examples of some of the clues that we use. So we do anything from trivia, we did math problems, we did fill in the blank, movies, mazes, and we really did have a lot of fun coming up with each one. And every single hunt has been different and tailored to each community or partnering communities. And so that gave not only a true feel, but almost like an ownership to it. And they've been really successful so far. We've, like I mentioned, we've already done 15 of them, and we have a couple more already planned for 2021. And so this is my contact information. If you'd like to reach out to me. As I mentioned, we've done these all year. So we started in June, and then we actually just finished up 2 of them in December. And they work great in all weather. Just with the winter time, you know, it just took up a little bit more as far as checking and seeing, just because of like the moisture in the air and whatnot on the clues. But really successful, really well received from all the participants. So if you are in Oakland County, we're still looking to add more of these to our schedule, and we'd be happy to partner with you in your community. Or if you're not in Oakland County, I'd be happy to work with you. And I can either send you a full kit of what we build from start to finish with the marketing, the clues and everything so you can see, or I can help you build one. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Lauren Azoury.
Thanks, Kelley. Okay, let's hope everyone can see that okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Lauren Azoury, and I am the Park Naturalist Supervisor at West Bloomfield Parks. Just a little bit about our community that we serve. We have about 65,000 residents, and we're located in Southeast Michigan. One thing I do want to point out with our strategic plan, we really have an emphasis and direction for conservation with an emphasis on environmental education. So we are always constantly doing outdoor programming no matter the season, and we've done that pre-COVID and made some new adaptations with COVID, but we've always done a lot of outdoor recreation programming to begin with to follow that strategic plan. Our Recreation Activity Center is home to our nature room. It's a small one-room nature room, or nature center, that is got live animals that we use for some of our programs, as well as taxidermy and lots of good teaching tools for nature education. Unfortunately, with COVID, we aren't able to utilize that right now, so we have been using a lot of our outdoor spaces from all of our programs, and that includes our outdoor natural play area, which is what the photos are of there. The outdoor natural play area was built about 5 years ago, and it has been a huge usage, and even more so this year since we don't have any indoor spaces. Now, we have plenty of trails and parks and shelters and all of that, but this is a place where kids can really truly investigate, get dirty, use loose parts, and it's not open all the time. So we have set open hours for that. And as far as our staff is comprised of, thank you, 3 park naturalists. So we have 3 of us on staff who all run different versions of our education programs that we're going to show you more about here in a second. Before we get into the actual nitty-gritty of the programs, I just wanted to talk about outdoor programming space a little bit because we found this was so important this year. As you know, the green spaces this year were super crowded because of COVID, which is great, but that doesn't make them a great place for a public program. So we were trying to find more private spaces where we weren't interrupted by the general public, but only could focus on those that were there to register and enjoy the program specifically. So we did a lot of programming in unique places this year, one being our employee staff parking lot, which is right behind our rec center in close to our nature play area. So we utilized different spaces that we wouldn't normally utilize, and it got us to be creative. We added a tent to define our space as well. So our summer camp, which normally would be sometimes inside, which is our nature-based camp, in our nature room, it would also be outside, and we added a tent for them to space out. Each kid had their own individual tables, and it was all fully outdoors, but having the tent still kind of kept us away from some of the elements like the sun, and also just defined our space a little bit more. So I would definitely encourage you to look at your programming spaces outdoors and see how you can transform them to be a better programming space. We are investing a little bit this next year for expansion of our outdoor programming space. So this photo here where these big yellow boxes are the 3 20 by 20 tents that we'll be purchasing to put in our parking lot so that it's not just like we're programming in a parking lot. We want to set the ambiance, set the scene, and make sure everyone is comfortable and ready to enjoy the program and really be engaged with the program and not with their surroundings that they're in a parking lot. So that's our new solution this year. We're also expanding to put a more permanent tent next to our outdoor play area over here for more of our nature programming that's formal before we head out on the trails for like our hikes and things like that. So, like I said, we've always done outdoor programming. So I'll give you a few ideas of what we've done in the past and will continue to do. And then next I'll explain to you a little bit about what we've done with some COVID adaptations and things that have inspired us to expand our outdoor programming. So what we've always done, we've had snowshoes in our equipment rent. We've rented them. We own them currently. So about 5 years ago, we purchased our own pairs of snowshoes. Prior to that, we worked with the local outdoor company, and we would rent them from them, contract with them, and then provide 1 or 2 programs. Now that we have our own set of snowshoes, it's really nice because they're at our disposal all throughout the winter months. And so we rent them to the public when our rec building is open, as well as provide snowshoe guided hikes. So if you aren't comfortable going out on your own, maybe you've never put one on before and you want a little bit more information on how to use them, our park naturalist will take you out on a hike and guide you and help you put them on and learn about them, and as well as learn about things in nature when you're on the trail. One of our special events centered around our snowshoes is our Snowshoe with Your Sweetie. This is an adults only event themed around Valentine's Day and has been a big hit, sells out every year for the last 6 years, I believe. Our senior hikes happen seasonally, so we do 1 or 2 every season, and we provide hiking poles. So this has been a huge investment that paid off tenfold. So the hiking poles are not that expensive, and they really, really have encouraged seniors to get out and feel more comfortable, especially in the winter months. We do different themes every month and every time, no matter the season, and we try different trails so that if they've joined us at a hike before, we hope that they continue to join us and that they'll learn new things as they go. But the hiking poles is definitely a big recommendation from us. We've had them only this last year, and we've had great feedback from our senior residents about using those during our hikes. We also offer a monthly Mommy and Me hike, which has always been very popular and always has a wait list. And again, we encourage new families to come, but we also have a following of families that come month after month with different activities. We also have what we call our Nature Outdoor Explore Hours. This used to be our nature open hours, but with COVID now, since our indoor nature room building is closed to the public, we are only utilizing our outdoor space. So they're able to come and visit and kind of explore on their own. There's a naturalist there, but for questions and to monitor and check people in, but it's not a guided formal program. So what are some new things that we've done added to our outdoor winter programming with COVID, and ways that we've adapted and things that we've added? We are now doing more pop-up programs based on the weather. So ice fishing and snowshoe hikes, things like that, are very weather dependent. And because of that, if you offer a hike on a weekend that you have no snow, you have to cancel or substitute a guided hike. So what we're finding is people's habits have changed with COVID, right? And they're home more often and they're not going away on vacation as much. So they are able to sign up for a program last minute. Whereas before, when we offered pop-up programs, it wasn't as popular. It was hard to gather people last minute like that. But now trends have changed, and I think that pop-up programs this winter will be very successful. So once our ice is good and thick, we'll do a pop-up ice fishing program as well as pop-up snowshoe hikes if we get a great snowfall a day or two prior. Another new thing that we're trying is combining virtual programming with a separate in-person hike. So it's a 2-part program. People can sign up for just the virtual program or just the hike or both. So in our course guide, they're separate, but we advertise that you could sign up for both. The reason we're doing this is because we've noticed that being outside in the winter obviously is harder, and for people that aren't normally outdoorsy. And normally we would start a program in the nature room and we would give a half-hour nature talk and then head out in the trails and take what we learned inside and learn it outside as well. Well, now that's a little bit harder because we don't have an indoor space. So what we're going to do is offer a virtual program prior, a few days, and those that want to attend can. And if they want to join us on the hike as a separate event where we maybe reference what we talked about at the virtual program, we can. So it kind of helps us spread out our time a little bit outdoors, and it also accommodates, we're able to accommodate more people that way as well. We've always done a summer outdoor survival day, but we're offering a winter edition this year. And our winter solstice event is our big special event. I'm going to show you a couple photos from that event. We have never done this event before. This was our first year. The true winter solstice is December 21st. And we usually do a live animal show with Arctic animals and some indoor and outdoor events for our winter event in January. But we decided that was not going to be possible this year. And this was going to be our new substitution. And it worked out great. We had, because of the Michigan Health Department orders that were in place at the time, it was very individualized. So each family came on their own and hiked the trail by themselves. So it wasn't a grouping of people, and they weren't led by a naturalist, but they did encounter different stations along the way. So there were some photo stations, there was some nature education stations, and they guided themselves through that. And we just spaced people out via their registration times. Not nature related, but still one of our really great outdoor programs that will continue throughout the winter months is our parking lot senior programs. We purchased an FM transmitter and are able to communicate through the car vehicle radios so that seniors can feel comfortable in their vehicle, windows down, and not having to gather in large groups, but still be able to socialize in a way. We've done bingo with this. We've done different versions of trivia, and another adaptation of this was our Heroes Appreciation Parade. So it was kind of a reverse parade. All of our local veterans drove their cars through, and we had local law enforcement and other veterans and staff that had big posters up for them, and they got to do a drive-through lunch as well and pick up a to-go meal. So we were still able to appreciate our veterans, but in a different way. And they still got to be outside in a unique way, maybe not the way we traditionally would think of it. So what have we learned all this way? Some things to keep in mind with winter outdoor programming. Obviously, the weather is a big component of this. So we find that if we communicate our expectations with our participants prior, they come a lot happier. So even though they know that they're signing up for an outdoor program, we are extra detailed. So we tell them, thanks for signing up. This is an outdoor only program. You will be outside for 1 hour. The weather is predicted to be blah, you should wear this, you know, really kind of hold their hands and walk them through what to expect so that they're not leaving halfway through your program because they're cold or uncomfortable. Another struggle that we had is carrying of our equipment for setup. So a lot of extra staff time and muscle was put into bringing all of our tables and chairs and things from our indoor normal places to our outdoor places. Even though it was just our back parking lot, it did take a lot of time and a lot of energy to do so. So just think about your setup and where are you going to keep all of that equipment. This year, we're going to be having some outdoor storage with tables and chairs specifically for those new outdoor programming spaces that I referenced before. And our parks were extra busy this year. So our normal green spaces that might be no big deal to take a group out of, you know, do a simple yoga program out on the lawn at our main park, wasn't as ideal this year because it was busy with patrons just coming to utilize the green space. And so we were trying to find more private spaces to hold our programs. Again, what did work well for us is having more of a defined program space that was private. And we found that because we had to lower our numbers allowed in each group, offering multiple sessions of the same program. So our hikes, we used to be able to accommodate about 25 to 30 people at a time. And now with restrictions, for a while there, it was only 10 at a time. So we would do multiple sessions of 10 over and over again, and they would all fill. So think about how to add more sessions or how you're going to accommodate those outdoor programs with your numbers. So that's all for me today, but that was a lot of information. Like I said, we do a lot of winter outdoor programming. So if you want to email me and need any more information about any of the programs that we have offered and what's worked for us or what we would need help with, please contact me at any time. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Ethan with Livonia Parks and Recreation.
There we go. Had a PowerPoint, but it's now disappeared. But I'll kind of walk through it here. There we go. All right, so that's my contact information. I'll put it up again at the end for you guys. I oversee our adult leagues. I do a lot of outdoor programming in the summer. But we've kind of been challenged. I'll cover how we've gotten into some of this outdoor recreation stuff by our superintendent. So I'll get into that, but I oversee our adult leagues, pavilion rentals, ball diamond rentals, a lot of outdoor stuff, mainly more in the summer, so it's kind of a fun transition here going through. So a little bit about us here. We do have a dedicated recreation center here in Livonia. We have over 1,300 acres of parkland with 60 different park sites, 36 of those being developed. We have 20, 25 different park areas that are not developed, so just kind of open green spaces, and those are the challenging parts to use when you're trying to plan certain things. But 11 of those 36 sites have some kind of nature preserve, but the other challenge we have is that they are, they have very limited trails. So we had to be a little different when we came up with some of these things. We weren't your West Bloomfield parks that were focused on some of those things. We're focused on being able to run things through trails with the true conservation side of things. So we were a little different in that regard. And in the past 4 months, we've added on our senior programming, so our senior center, and then we have a historical village here in Livonia that was just under a different department. It's Green Historical Village. That's quite a large outdoor space. So we've had to navigate those challenges along with everything within the pandemic. Of not only just getting used to having new staff, but new facilities and how to utilize these things and kind of becoming a cohesive unit, which has made things a little more interesting here. So come November, we got an email from our superintendent, Ted Davis, that says this was going on. And our big challenge this whole time the pandemic's been going on is probably everybody else has had it, is, how can we stay busy? How can we keep open? How can we keep operating so we're not having to put people on furlough, we're not having to stop people from working? And he challenged all of us to sit here in an email, like, re-examine how and what we offer, especially if we're able to do this outdoors. He's been really great in pushing us to try and do different things. And if there are any directors in here, I would challenge you guys to do the same thing. We had to develop at least one idea to run outdoors if money wasn't an object. The fun part about this was he said, okay, no toboggan races, no nothing like that. Make it reasonable, but adapt some of these things to where if you have an event idea that money wasn't an object, start from there and work your way down. How can you make it feasible for your own department, your own area? And so we have about 12 to 15 full-time staff members that were responsible for at least one idea. And we had numerous people come up with ones. We were big time into the holidays. We had a lot of different events going on. We had everything from a Santa stroll, which is the picture with the reindeer, so we were able to get out. That's part of our Green Meat Historical Village there. When people were able to get out, they could see Santa. It was a Santa event. They could take photos with the reindeer, again, having to follow all the COVID guidelines and everything else was involved with that. We had a pet photo with Santa out at our dog park. For anybody who knows Billy Pepin, that is Billy Pepin in the Santa suit. So he was volunteered to do that. And then we had a couple other things over winter break. We had a park bingo, so different things you can do. We did give a small prize away, giving people an option to engage with our parks, as we have numerous parks that people in and around neighborhood parks and some of the larger parks. And then the last one on the bottom left there is again, it's Green Mead, but it's lit up at night, where we had a couple different things going on with that. It was our kickoff to our Light Up Livonia event, where it was just a house light competition where we were able to name 4 to 6 winners, where the mayor and a couple other people were involved, and Santa got to deliver a prize. But then we also had another Santa event going on there, where kids could come up and see Santa and really work on, really focus on that opportunity to engage, but then also come explore Green Meat, because Green Meat's kind of an unknown within our city. So we're trying to find ways to develop this into kind of a winter wonderland as we go forward. Working on building this event up where it's more than just, hey, come and see Santa. It's come learn about Green Meat, come learn about the history that's there. It is a true historical village, which is really, really cool. And the feedback we got from the community is, I didn't even know this existed. So kind of looking at your facilities and your space as to what you have to offer, and looking at some of those events in ways that you haven't before was interesting. Where we collaborated with people. I was collaborating with multiple people in our department trying to put things on, and this was just all around the holidays. And then you throw COVID into it. We had to do a reopening plan for everyone, so COVID and social distancing, all those precautions were built into this, which a lot of people really, really appreciated. And so some other ones we have coming up, I know the ones I'm running, I'm trying a boot ball tournament, which again, mine was what's simple, what's easy I can run. I'll put a winter twist on it, as we don't have those access to those outdoor trails, to the true nature side of things that some people may really, really want to have, as Livonia's more of a landlocked city. So it's a boot ball tournament. I have 40, 50 ball diamonds within the city, so trying to get people to out and engaged and play there. The fun part is you got to wear winter boots. And this one, as Lauren mentioned, snow can come into play, but we could run this one, with or without snow. Snow would be great; it'd be fantastic. But at the same time, it's without it. We can run it without it. The pickleball tournament, just kind of playing off the holidays, is something we found really worked really well. I'm hoping to be able to run a pickleball tournament out at our new pickleball courts. We had 2 or 3 run this past fall, and we had a lot of people engage with it. It was just purely recreational. Come out, play, come out and be engaged, and we'll see if this one goes. I've gotten some people that are definitely interested in it, but it's just kind of using those spaces that we have. Some other events that we've really done in and around, we've had talks about putting on like a Spartan Warrior race, given, you know, we have a rec center, the fields right next to us are wide open. So can we use that space to be able to put something on that's more of like a Spartan Warrior race, and building some of those obstacles and to work in the fitness classes. You know, fortunately we're able to run fitness classes now, but we're still struggling to see people engaged in some of those programmings. And then we did go out and purchase an ice rink, and that's out at our Greenmead Historical Village as well too. That got built. It's now probably melted, unfortunately. But our goal is to give people a lot of different opportunities and events and things to be engaged with. Because we don't have those trails necessarily. So just providing options and opportunities for them to be in and around with. Our senior programming is really successful with some of these drive-up senior, you know, pickup events. They partnered with local businesses to be able to provide some of these things. Around Thanksgiving, they gave out turkey pot pies. There have been other pies given out, small little prizes that our senior center has been able to give up on just a drive-up pickup basis. In and around here, we have the Dragons Love Tacos event, so they get to go out around the fire pit and kind of, you know, build some crafts, do some activities, space them out in and around here. We've just been really encouraged to get creative with this space and see what kind of options people are looking for. It really kind of varies depending upon success. Some events, like our holiday events, they were hugely successful. A lot of people walking in and around our parks. Other places, other things, like some of the boot ball tournaments and stuff that I'm trying to run, hit or miss, kind of depends upon the group, but we're learning a lot from it. Whereas, you know, maybe next year, instead of such an adult focus, maybe I try to we're focusing more on the family side of things, get more people involved. But I know this is something that we're looking, actively trying to move forward with as we go into winter programming. Because before we really had no winter programming in any aspect of it, so this was our big challenge going forward. So we're still working through some of these things, figuring it all out as we go, but we were a high event focus when that's intended success in a lot of ways. And that's my contact information. If you guys need it or want it, happy to answer any questions on things and pass along to other coworkers that have run some of those events. But I am now going to turn it over to Ashlie from Engel.
Okay, hi guys. I'm just trying to get my screen up here. I don't see. I guess my screen is not gonna show. I'm clicking it and it's not working, so I'm not sure. Maybe the organizer has advice, but it's not showing. So I just had some pictures to show. But anyway, my name's Ashlie Smith from the Farmington Hills Nature Center. So I'm the supervisor here, and we've been doing in-person programming since June. So we made a commitment early on that we were going to focus most of our efforts on in-person programming. So we've just now recently got into the more virtual world of programming. So we're working on expanding some of that, but I wanted to go over some of our successes that we've had in person. So like you guys mentioned, some of the other panelists, that snowshoeing is available in your parks. That's the same here for Heritage Park in Farmington Hills. One of the other things that has been really popular this winter are fire pit reservations. So if you have a fire pit in your park and you're not utilizing it for winter reservations, I would think that now's a great time to start. So we have had quite a few reservations just in, for the evening or even during the day from our residents wanting to use our fire pit area. And then the cool thing that we're able to do is then add on a night hike or a guided hike for the participants after their fire pit reservation. So that's been really successful. In years past, we've really never had any winter fire pit reservations. So that's been a pretty successful private program for us. Something else that we've really expanded that we found our community had a need for was early childhood, homeschool, and after school programming. So here in Farmington Hills, all of our students were fully remote until Monday. So Monday they just went back to class. But early childhood, so that preschool age, really ages 1 to 5, we've been really expanding our programs to a 4-day-a-week classes. And then our nature homeschool has expanded to 3 days a week. So if you're not tapping into those resources in your community, there's a huge need for that. All of our programs have been filling in that regard, as well as our after school program. We run a program called the Fox Club where they meet on Wednesday evenings and they are here until dark. So it's really cool for the kids to be here and get away from the screen. And we had a child yesterday that just said, I've been in front of a screen all day. All I want to do is play out here and hike the trails and play on the ice. So really worthwhile program for those kids. And then a weekend program as well that we do outside for the after school kids. So really all of our programs are outside. So like Lauren mentioned at her nature center, they've converted all their programs to being outdoors completely. We've been lucky enough to have our nature center at a limited capacity that we can use some of our indoor spaces if needed. So for example, if we need to come in for weather reasons, the Nature Center has also been available for limited capacity to our visitors. So we've started something called Nature Center, exclusive Nature Center experience appointments. Essentially, it's a private appointment for families to come and enjoy the Nature Center. And so we started those back in June because we had to limit visitors into our facility due to our summer camps and not being able to mix our campers with members of the public due to COVID. So those have been super popular. We've continued those all throughout. There are some days where we're completely booked by appointments. It allows us to control the number of visitors, but then also puts families at ease if they don't want to have to share the space with, anybody else. So we've been keeping those up, and then just recently here on Saturday, we'll be able to open back up for some public drop-in hours on a limited basis. So again, I really, modifying programs to have them be in person, that's what most of our effort has been put towards. And I think it's been a really worthwhile effort. I know a lot of nature centers have sadly had to close their doors or cancel a lot of their programs. And I feel like we've been really lucky and put on a ton of effort to make sure all of our programs are still happening, even if they're heavily modified. Something else that's been going really well here at the Nature Center are our volunteer days. We always had volunteer days every month. But since the pandemic, folks are just looking for ways to get out and be active in their community. So our volunteer days have been tripled or even quadrupled in the number of participation that we have for that. And so really for those programs, we just have to make sure that we manage the number of folks that we have come out and make sure everybody is spread out. But that's a good problem to have. It's just COVID. We need to make sure that everybody is, social distanced and wearing their masks and all that good stuff. Another program that I really wanted to share some pictures of for you guys, but apologize that I'm not able to share my screen, but we just unveiled one of our storybook trails. So I know some other parks in our area or nearby have done the story walks before. So we did the book called The Snowy Day. And it's just behind our nature center here through the trails, and people have really enjoyed that. It's actually been a draw for people to come out to our parks and check out the story walk. And so we plan on keeping that up throughout the rest of the year and into the future, and moving that. Ours is going to actually move around to different locations in our park so that we can highlight different spots perhaps that folks don't typically visit, and then change the book up as well and do programming around that in partnership with our library. It's a relatively low cost thing to add to your park, especially if you do a somewhat temporary setup. So we just used your typical green fence posts that you can get at Home Depot. We put those in and mounted the storybook pages, laminated on some wood mounting boards, and just attached those to the posts. So it's somewhat permanent. Nobody can come up and just rip them out of the ground, but it's easy enough for our parks crew to take them out and move them all around the park. So we're excited about that. Something else that Lauren also brought up that's worked well for us that I would encourage you guys to do if you're not already doing it at your sites are pop-up programs. So some of the pop-up programs that we've done, meaning that we just opened them up that week. Saying, we're going to come out and do a winter makerspace activity with us. So if there's snow, we'll have you guys come out and do a fun makerspace activity. And for those that have never done any makerspace things before, it's just a really great way for kids or families to come out and build and explore with nature parts or just loose parts. We usually give them some kind of challenge. So the one we did with the snow, we were having them build different structures with the snow, and we were actually having them do some sledding challenges with the snow. And then we've even done some things with we collected greens throughout the park and did a holiday greens creation pop-up. Again, we just advertised it the week of, and we've been getting really good participation with that. And so what's nice about those is you don't have to do a lot of advanced marketing. You don't have to have all the details put together so far in advance like we all have to do for a lot of our programs. So it gives you the freedom to be flexible based on what the conditions are relative to COVID or even just the season, so the weather. Another thing that works really well is doing drive-through check-in. So we did our Santa event where folks drove up and we checked them in before they even parked in our parking lot. And that was really to alleviate that bottleneck that sometimes occurs when folks are waiting at a check-in table to come to when they arrive at an event. So this way then they're staying in their cars and they're checking in at a table out in the parking lot, and then they go to park and get out and enjoy the festivities at the event. So that's something that we really want to continue moving forward, is doing some of that drive-through check-in. It's on a cold day, it's harder on the leader to stand out there in the cold and check everyone in through a drive-through fashion, but it just really seemed to make the program run smoothly and allow for that social distancing. I wanted to show you guys too a picture of all of the craft kits that we've been having to assemble. So I'm sure other parks departments have been doing that as well. So we've been assembling, instead of just putting out a craft station like we would at a lot of our programs, we've been having to pre-assemble them all into kit fashion that folks can take with them home, because we don't have necessarily an indoor spot to do craft, and we don't really want people to gather in a small area to do crafts either. So I think for our Santa event, we put together 350 kits, and all of them were picked up. So a lot of effort in advance, but I think it's really worthwhile and folks really appreciate it. And we even did that with our s'mores for our fire pit reservations and our programs that involve the fire. We've been involving the fire a lot more for our programs that we're doing for warmth and just an added element. But we've been pre-assembling all of our s'more supplies into little kits in advance too. So that's just a lot of prep work there, but we feel like it's made a big difference, and we've been able to charge a nominal fee, an additional fee for our s'mores and things like that, little add-ons. So we've been doing that for our programs as well, where we'll do an add-on for an additional fee. So once somebody registers, a little tickler will come up and ask them if they'd like to add on a s'more kit or a craft kit or something like that for an extra $1. And most registrants take advantage of that, and it really helped us cover our costs. So we didn't have to raise the program fee that much for our community, because we really wanted to keep our fees low for everybody, but we needed to cover our costs. So that really helped a lot. What I wanted to just end with too is coming up here as we move forward into the spring. We usually, our biggest event of the year, I know Lauren did their winter solstice event, which looked really awesome. Ours is always our Earth Day celebration. It's always our huge, festivity here at Heritage Park. And so obviously we don't want that many people gathering in one place again. So instead of that, we're doing our Earth Days of Action. So from April 17th to the 24th, there'll be something that folks can participate in to make a positive impact on the environment and their community. So either something that they can come do in person, like pull garlic mustard or cut buckthorn or plant native plants or do some trail maintenance, something like that. Or they can do something virtually. So folks that aren't quite comfortable leaving their house yet to come for an in-person program, they can participate in the Earth Days of Action from home. So something simple like decorating your door for Earth Day and posting pictures online to a virtual webinar on how to make your yard more pollinator friendly. So we're really excited about that, and we're culminating that week with a huge volunteer day with Rebuilding Together. We'll be doing some park improvements and revitalization projects. And so as much as I'm going to miss our celebration, I'm excited for that new way, and I think it really will empower folks and make a big difference. So those are the ones I wanted to focus on for things that we've been doing over here at the Nature Center. as Lauren said before, some things that haven't worked well is, or I don't want to say haven't worked well, but things that we've learned is just to be flexible. So we've moved check-in tables to different locations, trying out different things. We've had tents up in our parking lots. We haven't. So just figuring out what works well and what's going to make sure that the program is the highest quality and keep everybody safe. So flexibility has been the name of the game. So that's it for me over here.
All right, I think the panelists are all going to come back on and potentially answer any questions. But while everybody turns their cameras back on, I wanted to highlight a couple of things I heard other people talking about. And the panelists can chime in afterwards too, but it's a reoccurring theme is the setup and cleanup time. I know like our cooking programs, we have a room with tables and chairs, and setup for that takes no time at all. But when we do our campfire cooking, you know, that's an extra hour of setup just to drag all the tables and chairs outside and spread them out. So for those attendees who are looking to start some new stuff up yet this winter, definitely plan on that extra man time, that just effort to get that set up in advance. You know, a lot of our programs were just break even, you know, had 4 or 5 different families, but it took, you know, 5 hours to do the entire cooking event, set up, clean up, everything else. So definitely something to highlight. And then I didn't have it in my slides, but another thing we are doing this winter for seniors, since that's been a tough group to engage, and Ashlie kind of reminded me of it with her drive up check-in, was we're doing drive-through senior breakfasts. So we have some sponsors that have donated the food and different things like that. And it's actually been very well received, and they've been receptive to that. So we've done some drive-through, like we're a takeout order service, kind of just a way to engage our seniors this winter. It's not a thing we'll probably bring back in the future because they prefer to be inside and socialize, but another option for anybody who's watching and trying to figure out ways to engage your seniors.
Along with that, Spencer, too, just to let everybody know to keep an eye out, I believe the Women in Parks and Rec group is doing, with my supervisor, Kelley, they're going to present on parking lot, senior parking lot programs. They're going to do like a whole webinar on it. So look out for that.
Awesome.
Okay, I don't think I see any questions from the attendees. So I just wanted to definitely thank our panelists once again for sharing all of the programming and resources that they have, and thank our attendees for joining this webinar. And it is recorded, so feel free to share it with everybody, and please get a hold of one of us if you do have any questions about some of the programs that we shared today.
Any panelists have questions for other panelists?
I want to go play outside in all of your parks.
I had a quick question. Oh, sorry, Kelley.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I just had a quick question for Lauren. Your outdoor play area, do you guys have like regular hours for that? Or because we always explore over there at the West Bloomfield, parks. And so I'm always like, when is this open?
Yeah.
So I just didn't know if you guys have regular hours or how that works.
We do. It's locked and it's closed to the public in general. And right now our outdoor open explore hours are pre-registered just so we can limit the number of people at a time that are out there with COVID. In the past, our open hours were just everyone come and was just an open house style, but we've changed that for re-registration. So it's very limited. It's the first Friday of every month, the third Tuesday, and then select weekend days. But you can always find the hours on our website too.
Okay. Is the nature room not open at all then? Are you guys not planning on having
our building currently is closed to the public. So part of it is that our building is our offices. So some of us are working from home, some of us are not, depending on what programs are happening or what the day is. But because we have a fair amount of staff in the building, we did not want to combine that with public in the building. And our nature room is just a room. It's not very big. So we would have to limit it to one family at a time. We couldn't even do 2 to 3. So at this point in time, yes, it's still closed. But I do like the idea of appointments. So I might be picking your brains on that later.
I didn't think they were going to be as popular as they were. And it is just one family at a time for our appointments. So
The tricky thing for us right now that is one of our best things is that we have live animals. It's really cool, right? Not everybody
Yeah.
has that. And we're not able to utilize them in the winter months because we can't bring them outside. They're reptiles and amphibians. So we have to bring people inside if they want to engage with our animals in the winter months. So that's our big trick part there. And our nature room is very small. But the outdoor play area has added a nice programming space for us.
I have
Awesome.
a question for the panelists. What do you guys do for restrooms? I know at the county, it depends on the park. Some of our park facilities have restrooms that we can remain open, but the rest of our facility is closed off, so they're almost separate. But it's not necessarily the case at every of our parks. And how do you handle that with some of your programming, you know, as you're doing like your hikes or things, or your snowshoeing?
So for us, we include that in our email, of course, that they have to, our building would be open, it's closed to the public except for restroom use. So they have to, make sure their masks are on the entirety of their time in the building, and they go in to use the restroom and they leave. That's at our rec center. If we're going somewhere where there is a porta potty or something, we just kind of let them know in advance, like, you'll be there for an hour. Here's the bathroom situation along with what you should wear. So we do spell it out for everyone depending on where the event is and where the, like you said, it's different for every park and situation. But we allow them in the building to use the restrooms. And if it's somewhere else in a different park, the restrooms may be closed seasonally, so we may have a porta potty there. So we just let them know in advance.
Ours is all working with our public works department and kind of set up with our contractor for the porta johns at parks. If we need one there for a specific event, we will put one there. Some of our busier parks will have them there year round. And go from there. We have 3 parks that have the comfort stations, so restrooms there, and we try to leave them open as long as we can, but they usually get winterized end of October, beginning in November. All depend upon where they're there. So our more popular parks usually have them year round. They're limited in the winter, and then for some of our other events, brought one in, just working through our our city contacts.
Yeah, we're a mix of that as well. This year, there has been conversation about adding some portable restrooms year-round at our busier parks, especially if we continue these outdoor winter options. But like Lauren said, we've been planning a lot of stuff near a couple of our buildings that we can allow public in just for the restroom. Otherwise, the emails that spell out, hey, you're going to be here for an hour and there's nowhere close to go, so be prepared.
Thank you.
All right, I know personally from a couple of the different people who have presented today, I plan on to reach out afterwards and email them about some of the things they do and their ideas. So I strongly encourage all of the attendees to do the same thing. Anybody who attended, I believe we should be able to send a follow-up email with a list of all of our contact information. So that way, even if you didn't get it or write it down while we presented, you'd still be able to get a hold of us.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, guys.